Technology keeps changing, but the fundamentals don't. Today's conversation is about knowing the difference. Look, welcome to Freedom by Design. I'm Jamey Schrier. This is the show for private practice owners and independent thinkers who want to build a business and a life on their own terms. Most of us start a practice to create freedom, and somewhere along the way, the practice starts running us. This show is about changing that. My guest today has spent more than 20 years in the rehab technology world, and along the way, he's worked with thousands of practices, which gives him a pretty good perspective that almost no one else has on where the profession has been and where it's going. He's the founder and CEO of Empower EMR. He's got a background in finance, and he's one of those rare people who's as serious about living gratefully and honoring people as he is about building good technology. And when he's not working, he's active like I am. He's out and about in the woods and cycling and doing all that fun stuff. And most important, spending time with friends and family. Sharif, great to have you here, my friend.
Thanks, Jamey. Always a pleasure. Great to see you, and looking forward to our conversation today. Thanks for the nice words.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, you and I have known each other for many years. You were a part of when I did workshops, before the pandemic. You guys were there supporting us, and so grateful for that. So yeah, we go back many years.
Yeah, we have our advanced age here, so we've been around for a little while, and yeah, like you said, hopefully time comes with some wisdom, anyways.
Yeah, well, I know for you it does for sure. So, look, you spent a lot of time in the rehab world. You've worked with so many practices. You've talked to so many more. Um, when you kind of look at it all, what do you think is happening right now really well in the industry? And where do you think the industry is really challenged right now? Just kind of in a broad sense in your expertise.
Yeah, it's a great question. Obviously, I think I'm going to answer on the tech sort of side because that's
Sure.
obviously my main wheelhouse here. I think what you're seeing is so good and bad, like you said. Let's go on the seesaw. So on the good side, you're seeing a lot of positive adoption of technology for practices where we're really seeing innovation against, say, some of the just most challenging issues from the last 20 years, right? Like documentation so hard, so time consuming, burnout of providers, those types of things. And so what you're seeing is you are seeing meaningful innovation, not gimmicks, but actual meaningful innovation that's helping. And you are seeing clinics that are adopting it and having success with it down to the provider level. You're also seeing all sorts of other automations and AI, which is a blurred line. That's another conversation being adopted and helping front desk teams and billing teams and so forth. And what I'm observing, anyways, is that this is really like pouring gasoline on a fire if the practice was doing well in the first place. So you're taking something that
Okay.
was doing well and you're making it faster, better, more efficient, more economical, all of those. So then you go to the other side of the seesaw is you're also seeing the mirror image of that, which is either no adoption whatsoever, or what I think sometimes can be worse, which is adoption and then failure as a result of it. And unfortunately, you see this in clinics where if they were having weaknesses before or they were having challenges, the technology isn't solving that problem for them. If they had an underlying operations issue, if they had an underlying team issue, then what's happening is you're bringing in technology that's got all this big promise to it. And what it's actually doing is creating more strife, sort of more conflict, and probably costing more time and money. And so this idea that like technology is going to lift everybody to profitability if they weren't there or increase everybody's profitability, it's empirically untrue. And you can go
Yeah.
and look at practices and you may have friends or colleagues that are in this position and you know, they're running around thinking, well, it's that it's not the technology. We adopted the wrong technology. Let's try another one. And then 3 months in, they've spent thousands and thousands, maybe more of dollars shifting and moving around, and their team is now kind of fatiguing out from the change and from the rapid stuff. And so that's kind of the good and the bad. And I
Yeah.
think you said it well at the beginning, the more things change, the more they stay the same in some ways.
Yeah, one of my favorite lines or quotes or whatever. I don't, you read so much and you follow different people and all that. You don't even know where the stuff comes from sometimes. So I never take it as I'm making this up. But I remember hearing that someone said, "Look, um, growth amplifies dysfunction." And at least that's my interpretation of whatever I heard. But the idea is around it. Look, if you want to grow and you're growing without putting in a solid foundation in your business, then whatever dysfunction's happening, you mentioned operations, I imagine marketing's in there and hiring and all this other stuff, that's a part of it. It's just going to shine a bigger light on the problems you already have. And I think that technology, I don't know. I just feel, I want to get your take on this. I just feel that there's so many people out there that look at technology, specifically AI, and they say, this is going to solve the thing I don't want to do. And all I got to do is give Sharif my credit card and I'm done. Is that your experience? Because obviously you're talking to so many people about your EMR. You talk to them about other challenges they're having. What is, am I like, is what I'm hearing, you're hearing? Like, what is your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look, you can try and throw money at any problem, I think is sort of the bottom line. And you may have some success. I think it's foolish to say you won't have any, but to say that you'll have the like home run, grand slam success that you really want, and maybe that your expectations are aligned for simply by doing so, so what you need to think about is the technology is the tool that helps you do the thing. The thing is the thing you need to worry about. So it's like, what is it we're trying to accomplish? What's the process by which that gets done? And then how can a tool like AI help make that process better, faster, less costly, whatever the case might be? And you cannot conflate these two things. You can't conflate the process with the tools. So you need to build a house. Well, great. What's entailed to build a house? You got to have a foundation, then you got to have some walls, and you got to put siding on it. Now, there are numerous tools that you watch around your neighborhood if you see any construction going on that's going to help them do it faster, like going from a traditional hammer, swinging the hammer one nail at a time, to a nail gun. That's a tool. AI is a tool. It helps you do things, but there is a foundational thing about, what is it you're trying to do? What's the order? Who does it? Who's involved in that process? And how can you make all of that better? So yeah, for practices that have that expectation, they're going to be, sort of disappointed that they brought in some new technology and it didn't magic, AI or otherwise, and it didn't magically solve all of the problems. And then again, if it gets worse from there, what you really don't want to do is like just get burnout or create a problem where one didn't necessarily exist and you didn't get the benefits that you were hoping for, because now you've kind of got the worst of both worlds.
Yeah. Well, you're certainly speaking my language because I've always looked at, I go, look, AI is amazing. I love it. I use it. I engage with it, which I highly recommend everyone do. Just look at it as a playground. Just engage and get yourself comfortable and familiar with it. But it's it's like you're going now into Home Depot, but Home Depot just added 40 million square feet of tools because that's what, AI is. It's a Home Depot, but there's so much access to so many more stuff that you go into Home Depot now, it's semi-organized, but it's overwhelming. The AI Home Depot is so overwhelming, which to your what you said is, I mean, how do you make decisions? How do you focus on the thing? I love that. It's tools to help you do the thing, and it's helping you do the thing better and faster and more efficiently and more cost per, less costly. And it's, practice freedom. We're all about and helping you ultimately create the life that you want and the money to live that and create the asset and everything else. So everything checks the boxes. Where do you see, I guess, speaking of AI, which seems to be the topic of a lot of things, like where do you see, I guess, people getting into trouble? Like you mentioned, it will, I said it will amplify dysfunction. You said it's a tool, but where have you seen people really get into trouble incorporating AI? And then the other question is, where do you see it? Well, I'll save this for but let's just start with where, because that's a whole
Yeah,
other topic.
yeah. Well, first, I want to echo your positive comments on the AI stuff, and I will say again, we've known each other for a long time. I remember going very early on to one of your conferences, and you were talking, you were showing people how to use ChatGPT to write marketing messages long before anybody else had even. So, you and I are very simpatico on this. Like the potential is incredible. What it is actually doing is also incredible. I mean, even for sort of some disappointment for some people, it's phenomenal. So you got to lean into this technology. There's no question about that. You just how you do it is really what we're kind of getting into the finer points on here. So where are people getting into trouble? I'd say maybe two or three areas. Number one is too much too fast. So you can certainly implement new things in your practice, but you can't implement all of them all at the same time across all of your teams, all within the period of a month. So if you're running around your clinic today being like, we're doing this AI for marketing and we're doing AI for documentation and we're doing AI for the billing, and all of you have to get with the program or we're cooked. This frazzled state is a easy way to get in trouble. And that's again a very traditional business value, right? Like meter out your progress, make sure you're doing it in a digestible format so that all of the initiatives don't fail together, leaving everybody with this like sour feeling. We tried AI, Jamey, you killed us with that last year, and then you spent a year trying to pick up the pieces and bring the team back to a place where they'd be willing to try again. Don't do that. Meter out your progress. So doing too much too fast, number one. Number two, spend. It's if you've been reading the news, you read about these Fortune 500 companies going bonkers with their AI budgets. I just read one that was like I think it was Uber, they blew the entire AI budget for the year and a quarter. So their engineers were hitting it too hard. And I see similar things in PT. It all sounds really exciting. And so you go and sign up for four new things. Maybe there's a sweetheart rate for a month, and then you get these thousands of dollars a month bill, and you can't draw a line back to ROI. And now, like, you're just spending and spending, and you may be stuck. So you want to be careful with that. And I think one and two kind of go hand in hand. And
Hmm.
then the third one is really just you know, working with your team so that they understand where AI is applicable in your practice, what they should be using it for, and then I think an important consideration is security. It's funny, like things have an arc in terms of time. Like when I was early in the days, HIPAA was a big conversation because the cloud was new, things were new.
Hmm.
Now we're fast forward, but don't forget that's still a thing. So, and I was talking to somebody and I was like, trying to put my finger on why AI is different. Of course, it's different in so many ways, but from an owner perspective, you're not the gatekeeper anymore for AI. Your team can go to ChatGPT and use it for free. So whereas in the past you used to have to be like, well, I'm the owner, I'm going to adopt this tool and I'm going to pay for it, so therefore I'm gatekeeping this technology. You got to get with your team and be like, hey, you probably shouldn't be putting patient information into whatever, fill it in, Perplexity or Gemini or whatever. So those are three areas where a little bit of thought will go a long way. They're not insurmountable, like I said, and they don't tamp down the excitement for the tools, but just get with the program on kind of those basics, and I think you'll have a much better time with it.
Yeah, you said so many things. I want to unpack a couple
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
No, it's great stuff. When I kind of experienced my kind of upbringing in the physical therapy business world, I had my own practice for 15 years, Schrier Physical Therapy, and I was a disaster doing every possible mistake. And what I realized is I like to move quickly, I like to solve problems and move on. And the more I did that, the more problems I actually created because um, I wasn't very intentional in what I was doing. I was very reactive in what I was doing. And that was back then before the advancement of technology. I mean, internet, yes, and all that, that was there, but nowhere near the level of what's happened in the last 2 or 3 years. And the phrase "less is more," right? My thing, used to be, well, it still is to a lot of extent, work less and make more, but it's more than that. It's advanced further by slowing down. It always reminds me of, remember that show Cars, the movie Cars, right? So when the old guy, I forgot it, what was it, Paul Newman or one of the old, like he was like the old car that won all these races and stuff, and he goes, if you want to go left, you got to turn right. And it was like one of those things, and it's so counterintuitive. And right now, I feel we are in a counterintuitive world. AI is helping speed everything up. In order to adopt it, you have to slow down.
So I'll give you one of my favorite quotes. It's a Navy SEAL one, which always is interesting to me, but it's slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And that
Mm.
is always very resonant for me. It's like, and I know you have kids, I have kids. Like when you watch them go too fast, they usually crash the bike into something. And that's usually what happens. And so you're like, just slow down just a little bit. And then all of a sudden you watch them and you're like, wow, that's really amazing what you can do when you slow down. So slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And I think that's certainly true, especially when you're trying to move a whole team, because it's not just one person. You're trying to move
And the bigger the
everybody.
business, the harder it is to move that ship. If you're moving a speedboat, all right, it's you and two other people. That's easy. You might drive them crazy by turning and turning and turning. But the big ship, we're trying to treat it sometimes, at least some of the people that I've spoken to and I've worked with that are like million, 2 million, $5 million and above, I go, you got to be really thoughtful in your decisions because the most important thing that you can provide is clarity for your team, and decisions are clarity. But if you don't have that level of clarity, if you're doing things with a hope, man, especially like you said, hey, I'm going to purchase this thing. Like I know that so many people I've talked to, like, Jamey, I just purchased this 40,000 like treadmill or something. I go, okay, well, what
What's the
what
plan?
population is it? What population is it going to serve? Do you have a whole marketing plan? Have you figured out the budget of what it's going to take to get that money back and then some? No, 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 no. I just thought it was really cool, and the person said it's going to be great. And I was like, well, their job is to sell their product. Of course, they're saying that, but it doesn't necessarily fit into your design of your business. And I always, I've seen this in so many businesses, not just private practice, but just we're human beings. Man, when that emotion gets really going, we can make some really bad decisions that we don't even know until later. So, anyways, let's change it up here.
Okay,
We
I'm
have
ready.
AI. We have the
Okay.
level of technology. You, like me, are kind of putting your ear to the grindstone or whatever it is, and you're kind of hearing the pundits out there that are talking about where it could go, how it could evolve, how it could affect healthcare, how it could affect private practice. Um, where do you think this is headed? Give me the next, and obviously everything's so much faster, so I can't even give you 3 years. Give me the next 12 to 24 months of how AI is going to impact the private practitioner, you know, 1 to 10 million.
Yeah,
Even below that, I guess.
okay. So this is the Nostradamus question that everybody loves. Like, all right, tell me the future. So, let
Tell
me
me the
think.
future,
Yeah,
Sharif.
right. Yes, I would love
Rub
to.
rub the
Yeah,
lamp on the
yeah,
head.
exactly. Well, I got a couple things. So one is I think the chasm between success and let's call it not success grows. So the winning practices win more, and the losing practices actually the gap is going to widen. So you've got to, if you're thinking about what to do about that, this is the same theme we've been talking about, which is you have this window in which you can try and improve your operations again outside of the technology realm and try and get to a place where you're doing well and you're profitable. because that's really where you need to be. So I think that that gap grows. Just an aside, because I am a finance guy too, I think the financialization of PT is also playing a role in this. I mean, we've seen definitely an uptick in the last 3 years of, say, private equity, and acquisitions and mergers. So there is an intersection between money and technology where,
Mhm.
if a PE firm is willing to come in and buy up a few practices or whatever, roll them up, and then, they're willing to dump money into technology because they believe they want to run it like a restaurant. So they want to have like 2.1 tables per hour versus, 1.9. And they've done the math
Right.
and figure out that zero point 0.2 is equal to an X dollars of margin, whatever. So anyways, I don't want to go too far into the finance, but I think that that gap opens. That's sort of the long story short with that. So
So
that's
the
number.
gap between the people that are struggling now, there's a portion of people that are not struggling as much. That gap will just completely open up because the people that have time to think and design their business are going to know how to utilize the technology, which is going to make them go faster and further. And the people that are kind of what I affectionately call them, the overwhelmed operator type of people that are just reactive, focusing on, oh my God, the hiring issue and the reduction of payments, and which is all true, but just the emotional reaction of that will just go further and further away because they can't afford to compete because they're just drowning in it. Is that what you're like?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
trying to understand the type of person that has an opportunity right now, but if not, they're going to fade away, and the people that take advantage of it. How would you like characterize each of those people with on either side of the gap?
Yeah, I mean, I think the ones that are doing well, the best I can describe is like they're running a tight ship. That's really what it doesn't matter what the tools are they're using. It's just tight. And if you're a patient or an employee there, you can feel that. Like if you go and you register with this practice intake as a new patient, it just feels like smooth and figured out. And I think if you think about your own life and how easy and how smooth it is to order on Amazon or from any one of the e-commerce giants today, that's smooth. Like you hit the button, it's like you can even have buy it now because they've even took what little bit of friction was left and they're
Right.
trying to eradicate every level. So it's tight, it's run clean, it's replicable. The same thing happens every time, not 100% of the time, but 99% of the time, like everything runs the same and therefore the success is very repeatable. In contrast, the other side of that coin is really just the opposite. You have some wins. It's not that you never have wins, it's that they're sort of sometimes very erratic. Like this intake went great and this one was a dumpster fire. Why is that? And even with the same people and tools involved, you can have these varying outcomes. Chasing, so the ones that are not doing as well are chasing the wrong things. For example, they
Mm.
don't have a good handle on their numbers, so they just keep reading on Facebook that they need more patients, but they're attracting patients who are a net loss. Like they don't make money on the patients they're attracting because they're the wrong payer. You mentioned so now you're just like going
Yeah.
after the wrong thing. So the winner is like focused, tight, chasing the right things, knows their numbers. The other side is the opposite of those things. And I'll just say this, like if you enjoy Shark Tank or you did enjoy it at some point, it's that. You can tell when the person standing on the thing knows their stuff, answers every question clean, and then you have the other one who's like, actually, I don't really know my number on that, and then they get yelled at by one of
Yeah.
the sharks.
Well, you know
So
what? I love that you said that because a couple things come to mind. I like to use the word, professional versus amateur. Um, Now amateurs are somewhat professionals in the basketball, football, and other college sports, but let's just use it as it typically was used. To be a professional is another level. It's a level of mastery. It's a level of work. It's a level of growth. That's what a professional is. And I think the gap is the gap between the professionals that look at their business as a business, regardless of the discipline they're in, physical therapy, pediatrics, whatever. They look at it as a business and they look at themselves as the architect. Their job is to architect and orchestrate the business. Their job is not to be the thing inside the business trying to make it go. That is the amateur. We all start out as amateurs. Steph Curry, LeBron was an amateur at one time, understanding the craft, putting in the time, putting in the reps. And what's happened is so many people don't continue to do that. They don't continue to evolve. And what I'm hearing you saying, and I 100% agree, this technology is going to rocket launch the professionals. And you can be a professional and not be at 5 million. You could be a professional mentally at 500,000 and orchestrate a business that goes to 2 million like that. Or you can be at 1.5 million and just be in the middle of a disaster because you just don't see the business as a professional does because you have an amateur mindset. So that's the one thing I took away from what you're saying, which I wholeheartedly agree. Um,
And just one thing to add, and I think
yeah,
you'll agree with this, but there's no nothing's black or white, right? So you need to improve every day. You're getting a little better. So like we agree on a lot. It's like amateur to professionals like a pendulum, right? So just like keep moving in that direction. Don't just think, well, I got to do 85 things and then I'll be the professional. It's a journey. And so you start off and you're ad hocing all your processes and you're doing what you can. And then you hire somebody and then you realize you need a new system. Then you hire the next person, you realize. So like as long as you're moving in that direction broadly, I think that's a win. And I think, a lot of people, because I'm in the tech world, they view, for example, that technology has to be 100% win 100% of the time for 100% of people in 100% of cases. But reality is like if you could have a tool that would, I go back to my example of the nail gun. Well, what if 10% of nails you still have to drive by hand because they're too tight, you can't get the tool in there, whatever. What a huge win it is for the 90%. You're not going to put the nail gun down and give up the 90%, are you? I mean, I don't know any builder that would do that. So it's the same thing here. Like having a good perspective and frame of reference will help you and help your team understand like how
well,
meaningful something can be.
that's another whole conversation that I live in this world of mindset and how we think about something. There's a great saying that says how you think about anything is how you think about everything. And what you just said, it's do you look at the nail gun as, wow, I just improved 90% of my business? Or do you look at it as, I didn't get 100%. I need 100%. You know what? Maybe this isn't the right move for me. And then you shift, and then you shift. It's how you're actually looking at your business, whether you're looking at the successes or not. There's a great book and concept by my dear mentor Dan Sullivan called "The Gap in the Game." I was in his program for 10 years and worked with him and his coaches, and they talked about this idea of the gap, which I refer to a lot of times as this negative zone. It's the place where you're constantly saying, you're not good enough, you're not good enough, you're not good enough. Or worse, you compare yourself to other people. And either you compare yourself as I'm better than or I'm less than. Neither one is actually very healthy. Instead of just focusing on the progress you're making and make sure what you're doing is aligned to where you want to go in your business and your life. That is so difficult, Sharif, to do, partly because there's a lot of noise out there. And that's where I want to talk about. Um, you're a human, you run a business. In many cases, you're no different than me that run a business and no different than any one of our clients because we are a business owner. You, I would say, are on the successful side in the EMR world. So there are certain things you're doing in your business, there's certain things you're doing for yourself and how you think about it in a professional status, meaning just professional how you think about something. With AI, with the noise, how do you handle this? What are some of your like secrets and how you kind of protect yourself from all the noise that's out there?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think number one is I am like neurotically organized. I find that I've learned this in my time. I have, as I've mentioned, I have kids now, and I'm watching like their room and how they keep their room, and I'm obviously like most parents, like, oh my God, this place is going to be condemned by the Board of Public Health here. It's so bad, and my kids are getting into their almost into their teenage years. But for me, I am like just so vigilant about it. Everything must be in its place and everything must be findable, and the team must be able to find it, and we must be able to share. And so I think my team would probably would concur if they were here. But like if I find like a random document somewhere, I'm like, nope, they got to fix this right away. Like you got to go put it wherever it's supposed to go. And it has to be neat. And we have a number of systems we use internally, like obviously to have knowledge and share knowledge and so forth, because we're trying not to bottle anything up. That's how you end up with the like, well, somebody left the team and now nobody knows how to do whatever it is that person did or whatever and that's how you get back to like, well, now you can't replicate something. You can't do it again successfully. And so, that's number one is just being religiously organized, personally and team wise. Yeah.
Okay, so organization, making sure that things can be replicated. You mentioned someone leaves and the whole system just left with them. I imagine the other part of that is you as the bottleneck. I would imagine they go hand in hand, but not all the time. What about you? How do you show up in your business with all the noise, with all the stuff? Like me, look, as much as I teach all this stuff, hey, there's challenges in my business. There's challenges with my staff. There's crucial conversations I have to have. There's people that sometimes don't do that. We're just human beings. How do you, what do you do? What's your key nugget of how you deal with that?
Well, I think so maybe it follows off of the organization thing, but I'm also very religious about lists and specifically tasks. So everybody has to be very clear on what they're working on. And what I've learned in my time is like, we have to have a list. This is the stuff we're working on. This is the stuff we're focusing on. And then we try and roll that up into what the company goals are so that there's clear understanding of why we're doing something. But the thing is that every day, every call I go on, there's like three new ideas of things to work on, and team members bring them all the time, and they're actually awesome. Problem is, if we chase every new idea every day, we never get anything done. So what I've said, all right, my thing is I just help maintain the focus. That's my number one thing. It's like we got to stay on these tasks. When we finish this stuff, then we can go on to other stuff. And so in order to split the difference, we actually have lists of future ideas where we're like, that's a good idea. Let's put that on the list. And when we clear enough bandwidth to be able to do that, then we will work on that. And that gives people a good sense of like, well, I'm helping steer the direction here. It just the turn isn't going to happen right this second. We got to stay on what we're doing because I hate, having 3 million open projects at once and then like all of them are at 42% completion and none of them are moving forward week to week. So you're asking me what my role is, the focus keeper, like stay focused, guys. This is what we need to be working on. We already decided these projects were important and these goals were important. So we already had all that conversation. Doesn't mean new things won't come in the future, but for now, we're sticking with this. And then it's actually worked pretty well.
What you just said to everybody listening is gold. Your job as the curator of this business, as the keeper of this business, is to maintain a steadfast focus on where this business is going and making sure that the decisions that are being made are aligned with that and stay in place. And look, I got a million ideas every day. My staff has some ideas. Nobody has more ideas than I do. The problem is, this is one of my challenges right now as a business owner who's growing, is that as steadfast as I try to be with focus, sometimes I can convince myself, no, 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 but this is a great idea. We really should be focusing on this. And if my staff was here, they would probably sometimes say, well, sometimes Jamey gets a little distracted and we start focusing one way, we do another. That has been the greatest challenge. And anyone that has a business, whether it's a 500,000 to 1 million, 2 million, sometimes a little bit more, realize that's a huge problem. Because when you're the person that's supposed to keep what you say, help maintain the focus, and you're not focused, what do you think happens? Dysfunction, anarchy, confusion. So I love what you said, the way you handle the noise, and the noise comes from everything. emails and this and that and podcasts and all this and questions from staff and your own ideas, new technology that's coming out there, the news all over the place. You stay steadfast on, and this is take home, everyone. Where are we going? What are our goals, our objectives? And what is each of us doing in our respective departments and roles that are moving us towards that? And if it takes us away from that, I find one of the hardest things to do as a in people pleaser. I'm a former people pleaser that still struggles day in and day out. Um, we can't, or we have a tough time saying no. And I am sure, based on what you said, Sharif, you have learned to very nicely either say no, or in the ideas that you just said is love the idea, let's put it in there, and it's something that we'll look at in the future. So you don't say no because you love the fact that they're coming up with ideas, but you created a system for them to feel good and acknowledge of the idea, but not to distract away. If you're listening, that is business gold right there of how you do it. Um, okay. We just talked about habits. That was one of my questions. Um, I guess what is based on your experience, of course, I'm going to have people like share a little bit about Empower EMR and how to get in touch with you and all that. But before we get there, I guess my last question is what is kind of like the golden nugget that you would want people to leave with saying, man, that's Sharif. Man, that is just gold. Aside from the gold that you just shared, is there anything else?
Yeah. Yeah, I think gosh, it's like the last word is always the hardest one.
Yeah.
I guess my nugget would be just I want to double down on something I said earlier, which is like sort of like take it easy on yourself, but just keep moving forward. I think when I talk to a lot of owners, they're either like exceptionally over hard on themselves and they think that the progress they're making has no value or it's not enough, it's not enough. I got to work, I'm not doing enough. And what they do is they just sort of talk themselves out of the progress and they don't take any wins themselves. And then it just becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy where you stop moving forward in any way. And so all of the themes we've talked about today, like keep your focus, keep people on goals, kill your darlings, as they say, like keep the goal list modest and all that kind of stuff. These things all play kind of hand in hand. And, what's a common theme amongst, successful practice owners is probably just a good attitude. It's not anything in a book. It's like something that they just either have or they've worked on, and it's hard because you get down and you're like, man, this isn't working, or this is doing this, or this has upset the team, or whatever the case might be. So staying positive, enjoying what you're doing, trying taking those movements forward as a win when they are them. That's so
Yeah,
important. And because you're at the top, there's nobody there to tell you to do. You're telling your team to do that. Like, hey, let's celebrate the win. But you need somebody in your own head, your own silent voice, or get somebody good like Jamey to be in your head saying, hey, take a little win here, take some forward
absolutely.
progress. So
That is pure gold. Attitude of gratitude, and look, gratitude is something we need to practice. I was a sarcastic pain in the ass for a long time, and that is not a great attribute when you're working with a team to be as quick. I mean, I'm quick-witted, quick-spoken, sarcasm, and that did not create a great culture. And what I had to realize is, A, I had to be more grateful about things and not have such a negative view on everything and a negative view towards my own employees or even some patients of mine. So that was a Jamey becoming the owner I had to be to have a seven-figure business. And that's what you're saying. The people that are successful, the success did not come first. The owner elevated and evolved, and the success became because of that. Not just how they think about their business, but how they show up. Dude, that is absolute gold. What are you doing? Where are you not showing up as your most powerful, authentic, badass self? And what is getting in the way? What is that angst? Practice that gratitude. Give yourself permission. Appreciate yourself because what you're doing is amazing. And as Sharif said at the very beginning, this is a journey. We're all part of the journey. Some people are just further ahead than others, but we all have our own individual journey. Sharif, just in the last 30 seconds or so or a minute, Empower EMR, um, give me the what separates you from the others that are out there? Everyone has their positives, everyone has their maybe not as strong. Real quick, what's Empower about, and how can people get in touch with you or get in touch with finding out more?
Yeah, appreciate that. And thanks for having me. So Empower EMR, we've been around for quite some time. We are all 100% in on rehab. That's what we're doing. It's what we did yesterday. It's what we're doing today. And it's what we'll be doing tomorrow. You know what? The differentiator, Jamey, isn't some feature. I'm not going to tell you that, oh, it's this AI thing that we have or it's this thing. Yes, we have all that stuff and we'd welcome you to come and kick the tires on it any day of the week. But what really matters is it's a question of who you work with. It's that good old business story, like who are you going to do business with? So if you're looking like for a fair and honest handshake with an EMR, that's us. So we really like to treat people well internally and externally here on the team. We work hard to foster that. We have a no jerks policy in-house, and we like to work with good people, and we like to say yes as much as we can and help people wherever we can. And we've been seeing some changes in the industry, just as the practices have been changing, the EMR world is changing. But a good, honest vendor never goes out of style, and that's how we kind of look at it. And yes, again, we're mixing with the innovation. We're very cutting edge on all of the AI and all that kind of stuff. And I think our pricing is also really fair. So would love to invite you to check us out, empoweremr.com. That's one place. You can check me out on LinkedIn if you'd like to, and I would love to hear from you or have you send me a connect request or a message if I can be a resource to you or help you in some way. And then we'll be all over the map coming fall, all sorts of different conferences, including Private Practice Section APTA out in Colorado. So whatever your way is, I hope you'll find us and check us out. And again, Jamey, appreciate being here and always love to share some thoughts and some chats with you along the way.
Absolutely. And knowing Sharif as long as I have, I can tell you character is never questioned and integrity is impeccable.
Thank
So
you.
thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
And if something resonated with you today, don't just listen and let this be just another thing. Do something with it. Action is what creates it. That's what professionals do. And if you want more clarity on where you are in your business and what to focus on next and how to reduce the noise, the next step is take our practice growth assessment. It'll help you better understand what's actually driving your business and what may be noise that's holding you back. And if this episode helped you think differently, share it with another practice owner who needs to hear it. Thanks so much for listening. I'm Jamey Schrier, and this is Freedom by Design.